In today's video, we will be using some recyclables and some trash to create some beautiful Christmas decor.
Hi, I'm Loli, and I'm so glad you are here.
Let's start with an empty peanut container and an old toy, and I'm going to paint them with my 4-car black paint. Then I'm going to take some of these pine cones that I got from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to start by gluing one right at the top, at the center of the ball. The pine cones have like a little tail at the top that prevents them from laying flat. So I'm going to take some snippers and I'm just going to snip that piece off of each pine cone before I apply it to the ball. Now that everything is prepped, I'm going to just glue these next to the pine cone that I started, and I'm going to glue pine cones all around, trying to put the next pine cone in between the two previous ones, and I continued to do this process until the ball was completely covered. Then I took some of these base fillers from Dollar Tree and I'm going to add some of the white ones in between the pine cones in places in which I see big gaps, and you can see that black from the ball as well. This one looked like a butt. I just wanted to show you guys. Anyways, so I continued to add the white until I had it all around this ball. I added some floral foam also to the container, and I'm going to dress it up. I'm going to dress it up with this beautiful napkin that was sent to me by Katie from Lady Red Crafting. Thank you so much, Katie. Katie is so incredibly sweet and talented, so make sure to head on over to her channel, and she is one of my inspiration creators from today. She inspired me to do some decoupage. She is the queen of decoupaging, so that's what we're going to do. But before we do that, I decided that I wanted to make sure that the place where I added this napkin will be nice and bright so that none will shine through. So I added some white Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint to an area where I will be placing the napkin. Once the paint dried, I'm going to add some Mod Podge to that section. But I'm going to make sure that I do it very thin. I do not want the napkin to be incredibly wrinkled, so I'm doing it in small sections and I'm keeping the Mod Podge very light. I am started in the middle, making sure that it's nice and flat and there's no bubbles, and I'm working my way out to the edges to avoid any wrinkling or any bubbles. Once I got to the edges, the Mod Podge was kind of dry, so I'm just adding a thin coat in those areas that did not stick on, and then I'm adding a thin layer on top of it as well. And once it dried, I just sealed it up with it. Now we are going to remove those two skewers that I had to hold my bowl in place while I was painting it, and I'm going to replace it with a dowel rod that I got from Dollar Tree. Then I'm going to place that right inside of the floral foam. And to cover everything up, I took the rest of the base filler and added it into the container. I created a little bow from Dollar Tree ribbon and glued it right there onto the dowel rod. And that is it for this one. I love it. Let me know what you think. Today's video is part of the Recreation Inspiration Challenge that is hosted on the 8th of each month by Katie from Lady Red Crafting and myself, Loli, from Loli's Creations. Our guest host this month is Robin from Crafts Unleashed by Robin. The links to our channels and to their playlist will be linked in the description box below and also pinned in the comments. Make sure that you head on over to their channels and to their playlist and show everyone some love. Today's projects, they are inspired by these two amazing creators. DIY Big Boom, she uses trash to treasure all the time to create beautiful decor. And Katie is just amazing with decoupage. Okay, let me show you what else I created using these amazing creators' inspiration. For this project, I'm using a tin can. I'm going to paint it white using my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. Then I took some Mod Podge and added it in a small section of the front. Again, keeping the Mod Podge pretty light to avoid any wrinkling. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And share this video with someone who will enjoy just as you. Alright, now we are going to position the napkin right in the middle here, trying to keep it in between the two rims. And with the same process as before, trying to go from the middle to the sides until it is completely flat. And here, since this had ridges, I am using the brush to help me keep everything nice and flat, and I'm making sure to add a little bit of Mod Podge also on the edges to make sure that those also stay in place. And I sealed the top of the entire napkin with some Mod Podge once it was dry. While it dries, I'm going to take one of these cotton mats from Dollar Tree, but I'm going to use one that I was getting ready to put in the trash. So I'm going to roll it into a cone, as you see there, trying to keep the top of the cone pretty tight, and then going around on the edges and making sure to hold everything in place until I'm happy with the size, and then I'm going to glue it together using some hot glue. And then I trimmed off the bottom of it to have a nice and level bottom to this cone. Then I'm going to take some of this black yarn from Dollar Tree. I'm adding a little bit of hot glue at the tip of the tree, and I'm positioning the yarn right into that opening. And I'm adding hot glue onto the edge as well. And once I have that covered, I'm going to just start to wrap the yarn all the way down the cone until it's completely covered. I actually didn't want it to be as tall, so here I'm just taking some of the twine, and to give this more texture, I am just wrapping some pieces over the other one just to give this a little bit more interest. And once I got to the very top, I just snipped off the excess, and I'm just going to wrap it around the top section there of the cone and then tuck it down to finish this piece. And then here I'm cutting off the excess, trying to be very careful not to go too further in so I don't unravel the tree. And then I added a little bit of hot glue on the edges and then push the twine, or actually the yarn, onto that to keep it in place. Then I took the two pieces of these two skewers that I had before, and I'm just wrapping them on some masking tape because this is going to become the trunk to this tree. Then I took a piece of cardboard and made a circle out of it, and I'm going to glue it into the inside of the cone. Using my Cricut weeder, I just created a opening in the middle of that piece of cardboard, add a little bit of hot glue to it, and push the skewers right into it. Then I reinforced that section with some more hot glue. Then I added floral foam to the bottom of the can and added the tree to it. Then I'm going to take some of these berries that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut them off of their stems and position them onto the tree, forming a spiral coming all the way down. And I'm going to space them out pretty wide on here because later on I'm going to come in with more berries and position an extra one in between each one. If you're still with me this far into the video, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me. Leave me a emoji of a Christmas tree if you have it, so I know who you are. Alright, so here guys, I created two spirals going that way, and then down at the bottom I just went all the way around to create a border at the bottom. Then I went in between the two spirals that I created and added another row. Then I'm adding some black to the rim. Here I thought, the black will make it look better, so I decided to paint the top and bottom rim black. And here I said, you know what, let's give it some more sparkle, so I decided to use some of the silver scatters and add them in between of the white ones. Then I took the rest of the base filler and filled up the can with it, and this one is done as well. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? For this next project, I'll be using this wine bottle that I have saved up, and I'm going to paint it with 2 coats of my Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint. Then I'm going to take a leftover mop head that I have from a mop of Dollar Tree, and I widen it up about 15 times on the same length. As you see there, I'm just looping it over my finger and try to keep it on the same level at the bottom. And then once I did that about 15 times, I'm just going to go ahead and tie it in the middle. Then I flipped it over and cut off all the loops at the bottom. And with some hot glue, I'm going to glue this to the front of the bottle and just using a generous amount of hot glue. Then I took this winter hat that I got from the dollar store and I'm going to cut about a third of it off. Then I'm going to glue the seams using some hot glue. I let the glue dry and then flip the hat back on its right side. I wanted the hat to be erect, so I filled it up with a whole bunch of plastic bags. And I positioned it over the bottle. And then I took one of these ornaments from Dollar Tree, cut off the twine, and added a generous amount of hot glue in the spot where the twine was, and glued it right to the center of the hat and the mop head. And if you cannot tell yet, this is a gnome. I'm adding some hot glue on the sides as well. And that is done. Look how cute this turned out. I love this little guy. You let me know what you think. I think I'm going to change the nose to a large wooden egg. Alright, next project. For this one, we are using an old jar. I'm going to remove that cover and using my black Richard chalk paint, I'm going to paint some eyes. Using the same paint and brush, I'm going to create a mouth by just adding some dots. Next, I took some of this pumpkin color from Waverly and we are going to color in the carrot nose using that color and a small paintbrush. And look how cute he is already, but I'm not done yet. I'm going to take some of this Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint and the back of a paintbrush and just add a couple dots in the eyes to give him life. Next, I added some of this school glue from Dollar Tree all around the sides, trying to avoid as much as possible the face section. I'm going to just create like a circle around it. And as I'm adding the glue on here, I'm going to be adding some Epsom salt as well to this piece. And I did 2 coats of Epsom salt, just avoiding the section with the faces. Then I took the cover and painted it black as well. I know I wanted it to be lit, so I took one of these votive candles from Dollar Tree and I'm just sanding it out lightly so I'm able to paint it and the paint sticks to it. So I've also painted it black. And I'm going to add that to the cover. As you see there, I added a tea light to the inside and then I'm adding the candle on top of it. And then the candle and the cover looks like his little top hat. And then I took some of this greenery that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm going to cut a small section off and glue it right there onto the cover. I'm not gluing it onto the candle because we want to be able to lift that one up to turn it off and on. Then here I'm using different pieces that I have from either Hobby Lobby and Dollar Tree to embellish this as well. This came with a little stamp. I just cut it off and glued it on. And that's all she wrote for this one. Let me know what you think. He is so cute. I love him. I actually think I'm going to make him a companion later on. This next project, we will be using a Pringle container. I'm going to go ahead and cut a section just about a third of this size. I took down this piece of cardboard and I'm going to use this tool that I got from Temu. You are able to measure the size of the circumference that you want to create, and it has a blade in the smaller green section you see there, and you position it in the middle and spin that handle around, and as you do that, it's cutting the circle for you. Unfortunately, the blade is not big enough to go deep and cut the entire piece, so I had to come after it using my box cutter to cut off the circle. Now I am taking some of this fabric that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm going to cut sections that are big enough to cover each one of these pieces. And then I adhere the fabric to the cylinder using Mod Podge. And then I'm going to cut off the edges of it into little slits as you see there, and I'm adding Mod Podge to the inside of it, and I'm going to be brushing on each piece of fabric onto it until it's completely molded to the bottom of the Pringle container. And I did the same thing with the other side, but instead it's going to be going into the inside of the Pringle container. And this is what we ended up with. Next, I covered the cardboard that we cut earlier with the fabric as well. I cut off some of the excess fabric, and then here I'm just cutting the pieces into slits so I'm able to mold it onto the side as well and seal it in with some Mod Podge. And this is what it looked like. Now we are going to cover the other side with another piece of fabric. So I'm just going to position it on top of this fabric here. And I'm going to cut off a section that will be covering each one of these pieces and to finish them off. I'm using hot glue for this step. I just added a piece of fabric over the top there, held it in place, pat it down until it was dry, and cut off the excess. And I repeated the same process with the other piece as well. Now that both look nicely finished, I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue in this section that has an opening. And I'm going to make sure that it's nice and neat in the edges. And I'm going to position this piece right at the middle of the other piece and place it in place. And if you see right there, you already know what I'm making, a beautiful top hat. And to decorate it, I'm going to use this pine from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use a nice amount of hot glue on that piece, hold it in place until it dries. Then I'm just taking an assortment of my different scatters from Christmas or either from Dollar Tree and Hobby Lobby. And I'm positioning that one right there on this side and a little pine cone on this side as well there. And that is it for this piece. You let me know. Actually, no. I added another piece. I added a silver piece right here. And I thought this just gave it a little bit more pizzazz. And I felt like this was the finishing touch for this beautiful hat. You let me know what you think. I love it. I was looking for the top hats that Dollar Tree carries, but they had none, so I made my own. And here we go with the final reveal. Don't forget to let me know which one of these is your favorite. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Be blessed, be a blessing, and craft responsibly. And if you'd like to watch some more of my videos, here's a suggestion, and you're more than welcome to venture away with this playlist as well. Thank you so much for watching. You're amazing. Bye.